All right, let's talk about comparing decimals. So I have two decimal amounts here, and my very first strategy that I should always do when I am working with decimals is line them up. That means you're going to line up those decimal points. That way all of my decimal place value is in the right column. So I can do that easily by taking that decimal point and bringing that over first. Then everything before the decimal point is going to come over before the decimal point here and then behind. The next thing I want to do is I want to make them apples to apples. Right now they're apples to oranges. How do I know that? I have two place values where there are digits missing. I can easily make these apples to apples by adding in the digit 0. I can add as many zeros as I want behind a decimal or as many zeros as I want in front of a whole number, and it's not going to change its value. The next thing I can do is I can think of money. If I think of money, who doesn't, it will give you a better idea of the value of each number as a decimal. For most students, it's easier to think of them as money. So I can go ahead now and I can compare using each of those place values. Now right away I can see that I have a 1 in my hundreds column and I don't have any ones here. So that's going to tell me that this is greater than. And I've told you in class that for some reason, anytime that you're comparing numbers and there are zeros and ones mixed in, they become very confusing for students. So always remember to line them up, make them apples to apples, and think money. You can also change your decimals to a fraction, which is something that you'll probably do as you get older. So when we look at this decimal, we had 101 and 10 hundredths. So we would write that 101 as our whole number, and means I'm going to include a mixed number of a fraction, 10 hundredths. And then if we were to write this decimal as a fraction, I have 11 and I'm making a mixed number, 1 hundredth. Now right away, even just looking at my hundredths, I can see that my hundredths here is greater, but always compare your whole number first. Think about it as cake. I've got 101 whole cakes here, and I only have 11 here. So again, make sure to line them up. Make them apples to apples by filling in any of those missing place values with a 0, and then think of them as money. And if all else fails or fractions are easy for you, change those decimals to a fraction.